Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and I can't sleep. I know a lot of you can't sleep either, so I figured I'd come on here and I'd talk to you guys, and we would take a look at what is going on. We know that Pence just certified the election. We are not happy with Pence, obviously. That's an understatement. And then the president issued a statement responding to the electoral certification, and in this statement he pledged for a peaceful transfer of power, but he didn't concede. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to promise you butterflies, gummy bears, and sugar plums, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't look good, but let's entertain the idea of what this could mean. Let's talk about it next. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here. It is the wee hours of the morning. I'm tossing, I'm turning. I'm not sleeping very well. I'm sure a lot of you aren't sleeping either. It doesn't look very good for us. I get it. And, the president put out a statement, and it was pretty cryptic. And I don't want to be the conspiracy guy, but at the same time, I'm not going to leave anything off the table. So I'm not going to say that I necessarily believe what I'm going to speculate into. But at the same time, if certain people are right, the speculation isn't speculation, is it? So, and just excuse me, by the way, I'm exhausted. I haven't slept, like I said. You could probably see it. So if I seem a little bit tired or not my normal self, I do apologize. But, today was a pretty miserable day. We saw Antifa, and this is some clarification. We saw Antifa that had infiltrated the MAGA Patriot group, right? And when people get in a group, they tend to act much more on their animal nature, their animal instinct. They act in groupthink. It's like you ever go to a concert or a sports game and the roar of the crowd sweeps across the people and you can feel it inside and you end up following the actions of the crowd because you're into whatever's going on. That's the same thing that happens when groups are together en masse and things get sparked. So I'm not going to justify what happened. I don't believe in what happened. I don't think it was good. I understand people's frustrations because I'm frustrated as hell. I know you're frustrated as hell. At the same time, I don't believe this would have happened if Antifa infiltrators hadn't come and started running amok and influencing other people. I'd heard reports earlier in the day that pallets of bricks and other things were staged around DC. I mean, this doesn't seem very coincidental, especially when you hear 17 states were experiencing this. And then I see this, I see that, I see different rumors. I see Trump went to Texas. I see Pelosi and McConnell and Pence, they're running the National Guard. What's happening? So I just wanted to really talk about that and kind of put it out there, put my feelings out there a little bit. And I also wanted to correct myself for something. In the last video, I talked about a 14-year-old or 16-year-old girl that had died. It wasn't. I was mistaken. I went off an earlier report. I want to say rest in peace to Ashley Babbitt. She was a 14-year Air Force veteran, and she died, gunshot wound to the neck in the Capitol building for no reason whatsoever. And, when I think about that, when I look at this young woman, let's get a better look. When I look at her and this very handsome bald man over here, I mean, I can't hate on that. I'm a bald man, so we gotta stick together. Bald men represent. Anyway, so not to be funny and make light of it, but, you know, we have to try to keep our heads about ourselves. When I see this, I see a waste. I see what a waste. Like, it just feels like this was just not necessary. A bullet came through what looked like glass and shot her in the neck. And I saw the pictures of her. I know what death looks like. Not many of you do. Some do. I do. That surprise, that terror, that confusion, that look of confusion. How could this have happened? She didn't even know it happened, and it was already too late, ladies and gentlemen. So, rest in peace. You know, when do we get our hashtag I can't breathe moment? Think about that. Sit on that for a little bit. So, I'm not going to be a downer. I'm not going to be pessimistic, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and blow multicolored rainbow smoke up your ass, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a human. I'm just like you. I've got work in a couple hours and I'm going to be worthless, but that's all right. I'll do the best I can. I'll drink a ton of coffee. Try not to have a heart attack with all this crap going on. As much as I'm going to shoot straight with you, as much as I'm going to be honest and let you know, hey, Pence did certify it. That's not a good thing. In our system, that means it's donesy doozy. And I know about executive order. What was it? 13848 or whatever it was. I think it was 13848. It might have been. I'll check it if I'm wrong. But anyway, he could use that. He could declare martial law. He could do a whole rigmarole of things. He might be in a base in Texas, and those army people might be about to arrest Pence and everybody else, but they might not be either. So at this point, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that this part's a little bit beyond my expertise. I usually make hard calls about things. I usually do, and I know you guys respect me for that, and I appreciate that greatly, and I hope you're not too mad about this one, but I'm a strategist at the end of the day. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not Thor, God of Thunder. Sorry, that Ragnarok movie was on in the background earlier. You know, I'm just a guy, and I want to do the best I can to represent you and get you the best information possible, keep you entertained, and lead you on the right path. But at this point, ladies and gentlemen, the path is now in the hands of our president, Donald J. Trump, and God. That's where that is. Tomorrow, we might take a look at our phone at some point and see that magic did happen. And man, I hope that happens. And I'm going to be here for it, and I'm going to be rooting for it the whole time. And it might not happen. But I need you to see the bigger picture, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay to be bummed out. It's okay to feel crappy for a while. That's life. It's the human condition. We're going to feel crappy at certain points in our life, okay? But just because we get to this point, and just because we end up right here at this crossroads where something really great could happen or something really bad could happen, doesn't mean that we lose hope, that we give up, that we roll over and die. We're Americans. We're patriots, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to be on the right. We're supposed to represent more than just whimpering little children dying, extinguished flames. Ladies and gentlemen, we're supposed to represent the MacArthurs, ladies and gentlemen, the Reagans, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to represent the Eisenhowers, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to, what I'm trying to get at is we're supposed to represent patriotic American blood, because that's what we're made of. These are our ancestors. And even if our ancestors emigrated here, even if they immigrated here, you're still a part of that great heritage, because that's what's so beautiful about this country, that anyone can come here or be born here from any walk of life and rise to be anything and everything they could have ever imagined. I know it feels like the left is killing the American dream right now, but I need you to hold fast. I need you to hang tight. I need you to hold on, folks. I need you to hold the line. I need you to stand tall, shoulders back. I need you to keep your head high. I need you to be ready to rock and roll. All right? We're Americans. Let's take this on the chin and fight back. So how do we fight back? Well, this is where the digital soldiering comes in, folks. You see, I'm not going to tell you to go storm anything. I don't find that to be acceptable. We need to outsmart these bastards, folks. We need to outfox the leftists. Look at all this strategy they pulled on us. All this chess that they played. All these horrible, dirty tricks they pulled. But together, folks, we're so much stronger than that. We're so much smarter than that. We're so much more organized and collected than that. So why don't we put our heads together and start strategizing ourselves and using the First Amendment to our advantage? I have so much faith in us, guys. So much. I'm never going to steer you wrong, I promise. But I hope you're with me. I hope you're still with me. So let's go through this. Let's talk about what Trump just said after the certification. This is right now. It came out right at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, folks. 7th of January, 2021. Cassandra Fairbanks, Gateway Pundit, and we're going to start reading now. President Donald Trump has issued a statement responding to the electoral certification through White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, as he's currently suspended from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm not changing my stance, by the way, folks. This is a coup that we're watching. I do believe that wholeheartedly. I'm not justifying anything that's going on from any of these sides, and I'm not justifying anything from the deep state politicians, folks. I'm not changing that stance whatsoever. So don't think that just because of what I just said, don't think that for any minute there, I've changed my view about this. This was still stolen. All right. That's how I feel. I'm allowed to have my belief, my view, and my professional opinion. All right. Let's keep reading. So President Trump said that while he totally disagrees with the results, there'll be a peaceful transition of power. And when I read that, my heart fell, my stomach sank. I felt butterflies and my stomach just twisted in knots. It was horrible. I still feel horrible. I couldn't eat. I feel like I'm going to, I feel like I'm nauseous. You know how you feel. You feel the same way, I'm sure. All right. But he could mean some other things by this. He really could. And like I said, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm saying it could happen. I'm saying the bad stuff could happen too. Remember that. At this point, we're not fortune tellers. We don't have a magic 8 ball. I don't know how to make the magic. That's like I'm mixing a giant coconut drink. Anyway, that's probably the closest I'm going to get to the magic 8 ball. Either that or never mind. That's not appropriate for this show. Look, he said there'll be a peaceful transition of power, but he didn't concede, right? We're going to entertain this. We're going to talk about this. He didn't concede. The statement reads as follows, quote, "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. An orderly transition on January 20th. I remember our Secretary of State, Mr. Pompeo, I remember him saying something like that. Yeah, I believe there'll be a peaceful or orderly transition into a second Trump term. It could happen. It really could. All right. So he said, I've always said we would continue to fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. Well, this represents the end of the greatest first term in presidential history. It's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. That's interesting, right? So he didn't say this is the end, goodbye, oh, sad day. He didn't say, oh, woe is me. He didn't cry for help. He didn't bitch out. He didn't punk out. He didn't coward out like all of these senators and congressmen and women. Kelly Loeffler. Oh, you snakes. How about Lindsey Graham, ladies and gentlemen? How about these people? Don't you dare cast one vote for them in 2 years. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I won't. I promise you that. I promise you. Look, guys, when he says this, does it mean that the army's about to arrest everybody and the prophecy is complete and the swamp will be drained? God, I hope so. I hope so. But again, like I said, no magic 8-ball, no pixie dust, no magic. I don't know what else has like time, like features in sci-fi movies where you can look at it and see the future or the past. We don't have a sports almanac that tells the future. How about that one? Look, we have to wait and see with this, right? But this could mean something very interesting. It really could. He didn't concede, even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out. Nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. He never said Biden. He didn't. All right. He said, I've always said we would continue our fight to ensure that only legal votes were counted. So what's he doing to continue the fight? Well, this represents the end of the greatest first term, not the greatest presidency, the greatest first term in presidential history. It's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again. So I'm leaving the door open tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, or today, actually. It's 2 a.m. for me. I'm over on the West Coast in scary enemy territory near Seattle, folks. I'm leaving the door open for this. This is very cryptic. I'm not going to lie. It's creepy. I don't want to be the conspiracy guy, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to BS you. This is cryptic. I'm also not going to BS you in the other department. It does not look good for us, but at the same time, that doesn't mean, like I said, when I talked a couple minutes back, like I said, it doesn't mean that it's over. Folks, the Great Reset, that whole crap that they talk about, that Great Reset, that non-conspiracy theory Great Reset that you can go find on the World Economic Forum, that's coming regardless of what happens. So I need you to fortify yourself, ladies and gentlemen, because regardless, we have a fight ahead of us, a long slugfest. And if this cryptic stuff is just me reading into it, and Joe Biden is sworn in on the 20th, we have a very long 4 years ahead of us of pushing back against the wicked left-wing ideologies and ways of life. So don't crap out on me now, because if y'all crap out, then how are we going to fight this other stuff off and save this country for our kids? Folks, that's how I feel. That's what's going on. It could go either way. I'm not losing hope. I'm with Trump till the end and beyond. I support our president. I support the fight. Do I support violence? Hell no. If all the systems fell apart and there was no government and it was martial law and violence was happening, there are circumstances. I don't know what else to say. We're only human and we do the best we can. But at the end of the day, while the system is still somewhat operating, we need to outfox the bad guys, ladies and gentlemen. We need to outsmart these people. And it shouldn't be that hard for us, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the side of righteousness. So, folks, thank you so much for listening. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Leave a comment. And make sure you share share. Especially now, we need to get the word out. All right, folks, we really need to get the word out. All right. Do me a favor. Also, if you're on Apple Podcasts, give me the 5-star rating, leave a review, write the review in. I feel like my throat is like all dry and stuff because I've been tossing and turning. I haven't like drank any water yet or anything. I'm like, been trying to lie in bed and go to sleep. It's not working. But look, all that aside, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave me the 5-star rating, write in the review. It works the algorithm and gets me to move up the Apple rankings, and more patriots get to see what we're doing. They get to join the American Reveille movement. They get to be a part of what's going on. Whatever happens in the next few days, ladies and gentlemen, this movement, this ideology that we've grown together, this community we've built, that goes on forever. It goes on forever. So this fight's not over, folks. It's not over by a long shot. Do me a favor. If you want to reach out, give me any feedback, or if you think you can help our organization in any way, please email me directly at jameslane@americanreveille.com. That's jameslane@americanreveille.com, REVEILLE.com. You can also go to our website, www.americanreveille.com. That's our central hub for everything, and it will be updating into a brand new professional grade site in the next few weeks. I want to really thank everybody that's been working on that, and everybody that's been helping me in general. I've had so many people reach out and actually join our team, and it is awesome. So thank you guys. You're all kicking a lot of butt. I really appreciate it, folks. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Like I said, Apple Podcasts, Audible, iHeartRadio, Spotify. I'm out there on every platform. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Stay tough, stay strong, keep your head about you, keep your emotions in check, and let's ride this out, and let's see where we end up on the other side. Regardless, I'll be there with you. Bye.